Where is my mark? I can't find it. I guess we'll redo it. Hey everybody, I had this really fun idea to make frames for the bathroom mirrors that we put up earlier. I had a really hard time finding frames that I liked that were also what I considered to be affordable. So I thought, well, we've got plenty of decent scrap wood around here and it shouldn't be too hard to make frames of our own. So I'm gonna try and see how it turns out, and you get to go along for the ride. So what we've got is we've got some cedar like fence pickets. They're rounded on one side and then more raw but square on the other side. So what the plan is to cut this in half, and the rounded edges will stay as the outside of each frame, and then the front or the inside part that's going to be squared off, that's going to be routed out for the channel for the mirror to go into. And so we did do a little practice run already just to kind of get everything lined out so we knew we had everything together before we started. So we have a pretty good idea how it's going to go. Hopefully it will go as smooth in reality as it did in practice. All right, so here we go. So I already pre-cut the bad ends and also the dog-eared end off of this board. So so it's all kind of squared off pretty good for the most part. And this does have kind of a bad side on it, but it does have half of it that I can use. So I'm going to go ahead and use the table saw and rip this board in half, and then at least we can use half of the board, and it'll be good. All right, so I've got my safety glasses on, and we got this all set already, so here we go. All right, and there we go. So now we've got a nice, pretty clean edge. Didn't do too bad there. This is the side that had the chipped out part, so that's gonna go away. So it'd probably be easier just to rip all the boards and then do the routering. So I'm gonna grab these other boards. I got some other boards picked out, but I need to cut the bad ends off. So I'm gonna do that right quick. This one's kind of got a ding down here that I don't really want to have to worry about working around, so I'm gonna cut it back that far. And this one's just kind of got a little bit there on the ends, but pretty much the whole board on this one looks pretty good. It's got a knot with a split, so we may end up not using that bit, but when it's kind of scrap wood, you kind of have to work around what you got. So I'm going to, this has a really nice light that casts a shadow on the blade so you can see exactly where you're cutting here. So you can tell, okay, well, I don't need to cut quite that much off, so you can shorten it up, and then, yeah, that looks probably about right. Make sure your fingers are out of the way. And okay. That one. And then this guy. I'm just gonna cut all the way back to this little ding right there. That looks pretty good. Okay, fingers out of the way. got those done. Now we can run these through the table saw, get those cut in half as well. I'm gonna do that one at a time, so let me get that out of the way.
I had a thought. Would it be easier for you to cut those into the lengths and run shorter pieces to the table saw than a really long piece?
I don't know. I don't know if it would matter.
Well, let's give it a whirl.
Okay.
So, what's the longest piece one of those needs to be?
The longest is 33.
Okay. So, how long is the board?
I don't know. But I will find out. Except you hid all of the tape measures from me. They do. So the board overall is 70 and an eighth.
Okay. So let's just cut it at 35.
Okay.
So then it doesn't have to be perfect, just somewhere close.
Okay. Okay, anchors out of the way. Okay. And I've got shorter pieces to work with. So let's see if this is easier to do.
How was that?
It was actually much easier to not worry about the board moving on the other end and stuff. So did it look like it was easier? Because it felt a lot easier. So awesome. And thankfully when that board fell, it didn't hit me in the face. Okay, so it turns out it was much easier to run these pieces through the table saw as shorter pieces than it is trying to work with the whole piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively cut. I already know what my measurements are overall for what I need for the frames. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut them to basic length, and then that just makes them a little bit easier to wrangle on the equipment. Excellent. So now we're going to run them through the router and get that inner edge cut that the mirror is going to sit in. Okay, so we got our router table, but it wasn't very stable. These little legs weren't very stable, so we went ahead and secured it to this platform and then secured that to the table saw there. So it's nice and sturdy. We already tried it out. It works great, so we're just gonna turn this guy on. is my mark? I can't find it. I guess we'll redo it. Okay. Where's that other piece, that bad piece?
Next to the drill press.
So apparently, if you cut too fast on the router, it chips out the good part that you're trying to keep and that will show. And so I had to cut another piece and redo it because I went too fast before. All right, so now it is time to start making our miter cuts. So we've got the board split between what's going to be the top and the bottom and what are going to be the sides. We already did our pre-measurements and determined how exactly we're going to make that work. So why is this one so much shorter than all the other ones?
Doesn't matter their exact length. It just matters that
Not length, but look, thickness.
They're all the same thing.
Okay. Oh, it must have been sunken in that little spot there. It's like, wait a minute, not supposed to do that. Okay, so the easiest thing we determined is to pretend that they're up on the wall and then figure out which direction the miter needs to go. So, because you're going to have a piece going across the top, so this will need to go this direction and this one will need to go this direction. And then your top piece will come across and it'll fill in on each of those. And then our measurements need to be, where's our paper? So I've got my two uppers and then, or my two uppercuts, and then we need it to be, what was that? So, not exactly 30 inches, it was 29 7/8.
30 of them is fine.
So we want to measure from this angle here.
Give me the dummy end. That's inspiring. So I'll hold it exactly on 2 inches, and it needs to be 32. You're going to make a mark exactly at 32 then.
Okay.
I know we're kind of blocking the camera at the moment, but make your mark up here. that one, same thing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you need to figure out what your miters are at those, because you're going to need to figure it out on this side. So hold it back up and picture frame it.
Okay. Alright, so it's gonna need to go. I have to do it this way.
You're going to have to make your marks, but
Miter cut stuff is very complicated. So,
measure twice, cut once.
yes.
Do 3 or 4 times actually.
Yes. And then double check that 6 times.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
these are also going to go.
opposite of what your bottom or top is.
So I think it's going to go this way. This way. Right? This way and this way? And then the bottom thing. Yep. Okay.
Sorry guys, I've got a little bit of a head cold. So. Oh, you're not sure. Alright, let's take a look at what you're doing.
Okay, so there's one side of the frame, and then the top pieces will come across and butt up there. So hopefully I did the measurements correctly, and hopefully, yay. All right, this guy is the opposite, and my marks are all on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this to the other side and do it that way, because it'll be much easier. Although doing this left-handed is not optimal here.
Just keep your finger off the trigger and everybody be happy.
Well, luckily it's got a safety thing on it, so you have to be very deliberate.
So, the mark we made is right here. And what we're doing is making it so the shadow, exactly where that blade's going to cut, intersects that mark. It's not necessarily on the edge of the board, because the 24 inches that the mirror is needs to go to the edge of that groove, as opposed to the edge of the board.
There, what do we think of that? You like that?
I like it.
Okay, ready? Fingers out of the way. Okay. And now we have the other side. So now we've got the 2 sides of the frame. And then when I cut the top and the bottom piece, if all goes well, they will just go across and butt up perfectly to these 45-degree angles like this. And then you can see my routed out channels there for the mirrored inset on there will sit like that. So it should fit just right. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so do we want to complete one full frame before, or do we want to just cut all the long pieces and then cut all the short pieces?
It'll be easier for your brain if you just work on one set of measurements first.
That's probably very true.
That's how it works for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna put those guys under there. These guys over here. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna imagine what we need to happen here and think about, so we want it to go this way and this way, and then we'll go this way. this way.
Now, while you're still thinking about it, while you still got it, flip those boards over. Corresponding on the other side. It's the same. Just do consider it. Yeah.
By the time I get done with all of them, I will have this down. And then I'll be done. Okay. Okay, so those should be the long pieces for both frames. And now we're gonna do the short pieces. So they're gonna go like this and like this here. So we'll want to this way, this way. It's gonna go this way. So when they're on, yes, okay. Okay, that is all 8 boards. So now I guess we will probably do some sanding next before we start nailing them together. Let's see here. All right, so we've got all the pieces cut, and then they're a little rough in some spots, so I'm going to take just a little hand sander, a little palm sander here, and just give them a quick sanding, kind of clean them up a little bit, get any of the marks off, any of the really rough spots. I want them to look a little bit rustic, so I'm not going to get them super smooth, and they will get a clear coat of poly on them to protect them because they're going in the bathroom, and raw wood in a bathroom is just not really ever a good idea. So anyway, so this should be fairly quick and fairly easy. I got all the pieces sanded, and now it's time to use our brad nailer and nail all the pieces together and see what we got. So do we want to nail them together like this, or do we want to nail them together flipped over from the other way?
I don't think it'll matter, but because really you don't care about the groove.
Right.
What you care about is how it looks at this corner. So go ahead and get that corner correct.
Okay, I think I've got it. Let me. Ooh, I
Sexy.
can see. All right, that looks good.
Okay. Okay. So that's okay.
Okay.
You can do that one upside down. That shouldn't be a problem. But
Okay.
you just wanna make sure that the face is even.
Yeah.
So bring it back so that the face is on this side of the board.
Okay. That's probably as good as it's gonna get. Okay.
If you just push it that way a little, I can come around where you are.
Okay.
So we need to move some more stuff, it looks like.
Yep.
Got that yogurt container has hydraulic fluid in it.
Okay.
You can grab it. Tip it. Let's just move everything.
I'm gonna start
One
this
side
corner.
or the other.
Yeah,
Doesn't
since
matter,
you're
just can't do both.
since you're standing over here, we'll do this one.
You're gonna have to set it down because you're not gonna be able to hold it like that. So yes, we're gonna twist it to get it even.
Okay. It's you nailed it to the.
Oh, I nailed it to the
You
workbench.
nailed it to the workbench.
I know what happened. The first one. Okay. So the first one
Oh,
hit, and
oh gosh. Okay, so I'll need to cut that off.
yeah, we'll cut that off in the meantime.
Need to do another.
Hopefully I
Do
don't.
not nail your finger.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I can honestly say that's the first time that's ever happened.
It's true. This is the first time we have ever built picture frames.
That's not what I meant.
Do not nail yourself, please.
Good to that.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do about getting that.
Hey, it's a frame.
Hammer that I put over there.
So I think for strength and stability, we should put those little things in the corners. It still feels a little wobbly.
Okay.
So, but we can finish getting this one nailed first, because I should be able to hammer in those other ones myself. All right, one down, one to go.
They can't see it.
I know. Well, I already held it up before, but and the angle isn't ideal for.
There we go.
There we go. So one down, one to go. All right, well, that concludes part 1 of our mirror frame project. Stay tuned for part 2. And if you like what we're doing, please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.